right, welcome back to school. Hope you had a good long weekend. This is the last lesson in chapter 10. There's a problem solving page here with 8 problems. If you want to do the optional math for today, you'll need to use the numbers over here for clay and bubbles and do those questions. That's optional. And then after that is going to be our study guide. All right, so today's lesson is a little difficult, so you might need to watch this a couple times. Basically, it's doing subtraction, but you will need to rename your numbers, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So this picture is a jackrabbit. It talks about jackrabbit and a swamp rabbit are 2 mammals common to the southern United States. And the jackrabbit weighs 2 1/3 pounds. The swamp rabbit weighs 1 2/3. And we are trying to see which one, what's the difference between the two. So I'm going to take 2 1/3 and I'm going to subtract 1 2/3 from there. Okay, so let's take a look at what that looks like. 2 1/3 minus 1 2/3. All right, so it looks like that. So the problem here, we can do 2 minus 1, but we don't want to do that first because we are going to be doing some renaming, so we'll always do the fraction first and then we'll do the whole numbers, just in case there's no more whole numbers left. So in this case, we cannot do 1/3 minus 2/3, and so we have to borrow from here. So 2 is going to be 3/3. We're going to change it to 3/3. Now, if you remember correctly, sorry, it's actually, I'm taking 1 of the thirds and changing it to 1 3/3. So if you remember correctly, I'm going to do that over here. We talked about the fact that 1 could be 4/4 is equal to 1, 3/3 is equal to 1, 8/8, 7/7. All those are names for 1. And so when we subtract and rename, we're always going to want to rename with this bottom number that we need. Since we need thirds here, we're going to do 3/3. I'm not going to do any of these others because I need it to be in thirds. So I'm going to borrow from this 1 and give this 1 3/3. Okay? And now I'm going to call, instead of just 1 3/3, which is this, I'm going to add this third. 1 3/3 plus 1/3 is going to be 1 4/3. Okay? All I did was I took 1, I borrowed 1 from this 2 here. I borrowed 1 and I made that 1 into a 3/3. So this is the 1 and this is 1. That equals 2. And then because I already had a third here, I had to add the 3/3 to the 1/3. That's where I got 1 4/3. And then this one, I'm just going to bring over so that it's all over here together. Okay, and I'm going to subtract. So 4/3 minus 2/3 is 1/3. 1 minus 1 is 0. You can put the 0 there, or you can just leave it since there's no whole numbers. Okay? So that's the first one. Let's look at the next one, which is going to be more complicated. So that one looks like this. Find 4 1/4 minus 2 5/8. So the part that wasn't complicated with this one, where is it? Down here. Is they were both in thirds already. Okay, so we didn't have to change anything there. With this one, we are going to. So let me just write it up here. 4 1/4 minus 2 5/8. So let's talk about that. So first I'm going to change this into this a common denominator. So this one is 2 5/8 still, and this one I'm going to change to whatever I do to the 4, do to the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, so 1 times 2 is 2. Now, I can't subtract. Remember, this is not adding anymore. This is subtracting. I can't take 5/8 and 2/8. So I need to borrow from this one. And I'm going to make it 3 and, sorry, we're not doing thirds. We're not doing thirds because this is an 8. I need 8s. So I'm going to change this to 3 and 8/8. And then I'm going to add the 8/8 to the 2/8 here. So I'm going to have 3 and 8/8 and 2/8 is 10/8. Okay? So first I changed it to the 8s. Then I couldn't do this, so I took one away. I borrowed 1. That became a 3. I changed that 1 into 8/8. And now I added the 8/8 to the 2/8 is 10/8. And now I'll just bring this one over. And I'm going to subtract. 10/8 minus 5/8 is 5/8. 3 minus 2 is 1. And that doesn't need to be reduced or anything. That's lowest terms. If it needed to be reduced, you needed to reduce it. Now, when you do these, I'm not going to have you do too many, but you do need to write them like this. Okay? You need to show me all the work. Otherwise, you will get it back, and that will take you double the time. All right, let me show you the last one. Last one looks like this. Sally's making a flag. She has 2 yards of fabric, and the sewing pattern calls for 1 1/4. How much will be left? Now, the tricky part of that one is 2 minus 1 1/4. There are no fractions. So let's take a look at that. Glad they showed an example of that, because that one is definitely different. So basically, this is what you have. Now, some people would just subtract and get, oh, that's 2 minus 1 is 1, 1/4. You can't do that because you're borrowing from up here. And so there's no fraction up here, but you need to make one up here because you need to take 4ths. So remember, it could be 3/3, but it's not 3, so I'm not going to use 3. I could change it to 8/8, 7/7, but it's in 4ths. So I'm going to change this to 4/4. So I'm going to borrow 1 from here, make that a 1. I'm going to turn this other 1 that I borrowed into 4/4, because remember, I can make it into any form of 1, whichever one I need. And I need 4/4 this time. So it's like you have 4, you divide something into 4 parts and you eat all 4 of them. That means you eat 1 whole. Okay? So now I can do 4/4 minus 1/4 is 3/4. 1 minus 1 is 0. That's in lowest terms. If it's not in lowest terms, you need to change it into lowest terms. Again, you'll get it wrong or you'll get it back. If it's a test, you'll get it wrong. If it's a homework, you'll get it back. Okay? So remember, so whenever you borrow the 1, remember to change it into whatever form of 1 you need. Okay? You base it on whatever number you need down here. That's what you make it into. And then always remember your sign. And always remember, if there's no fraction there, you do have to borrow and put a fraction there before you subtract. And always remember lowest terms. Okay? If you have problems with this, let me know. You can rewatch the video until you understand it. And send those to me right away so I can check them over. I think you're only going to be doing, let me look at that page. They only assigned these ones here, so 6 through 14, okay? And just make sure that you write them out the way I showed you in the video. And again, if you want to do the optional math, you can do these real word math problem solving in science. So you use this information to do that. And you can do this today for optional, or you can do it anytime before Friday. All right, I'm going to end this video because it's getting long and I'm going to have to upload it. Have a great day. Bye.